back with another book review. And today we are talking about my latest read, which is boom, Credence by Penelope Douglas. I think I bought this book at the beginning of 2022, just not reading it in 2023. And we've got a lot to unpack here. Okay? Those of you that have not read this book, this is what I would consider a taboo romance about a 17-year-old girl named Tiernan, the daughter of these super famous people. I'm talking like Kim K, Taylor Swift type stardom. All of a sudden, one day, they just happen to pass away. So while their assistant is going around getting, arrangements handled and answering press, she gets a phone call from a step uncle that she did not know that she had. Thus begins Credence. A step uncle calls her up and says, hey, I heard about your parents. I know you don't know who I am, but I'm your step uncle. You're more than welcome to come and stay with me and my two sons in Colorado. Long story short, she decides to go and stay. And when she gets there, things transpire. Now, if you have not read this book, then I'm going to urge you to stop right here, read the book, and then come back and see if our thoughts align. So don't go any further because there are spoilers ahead. Okay. Now, if you have read this book, let's talk, okay? Because I've got some hot takes. I've got some questions, and I've just, let's just get into all of it. Number one, the writing of this book. One of the things that I absolutely love was the writing of this book. Like, Penelope Douglas did so well with just the style of writing, so to speak. Like, everything was so descriptive. I could almost smell the fires in the pine trees and the snow. Like, everything was so descriptive, and it's been a very, very, very long time since I've read a book that was this descriptive. That's one of the things that made me fall in love with reading when I was younger. Just how well these books just pull you into these worlds. And the way that she did that is something that I have not seen in a very, very, very long time. It makes me want to read another one of her books. Now, where do we start? This book is a roller coaster. Look, even though it has been a month and a half since I finished this book, and I still don't quite have the right words. Let's just start with the elephant in the room. Remember the controversy being, that's her family, that's this, that's that. Like, I was not terribly mad at it for the simple fact that they were not blood. So there was no incest, no scientifical incest, biological incest, however you want to say that. Now, the morality behind it is all questionable. They are your step family. Depending on how you view step families, that's family. One is way older than you. He's old enough to be your dad. There's one that does not speak and is abusive, and we're going to get on him later. And then there's sweet Noah, but Noah has attitude problems. I'm like, this is just the biohazard. It's just going up everywhere, the toxicity. Okay, so let's go through these. I think the easiest way to go through this is to do an overall and then go through everybody one by one. Overall, I love how Penelope wrapped this all together to where it wasn't just pointless and senseless. To me, the book was real. It was raw. There were a couple of chapters I had tears falling from my eyes just because of how well Penelope was able to describe Tiernan's feelings, like how that trauma was affecting her. Everybody got the healing that they needed. And that was something that I really enjoyed about this book, was that if you look underneath all of the step family and the raunchiness and the sex, and like, if you look under all of that, she's showing that not every journey to healing is rainbows and butterflies. 90% of the time, healing is ugly, it's rough, it's up and it's down, and it's not what we envision healing to be. And that was the message that I got out of the book. And I really like that. And I really think she took this unique path in describing that to her readers. That being said, like I said earlier, I'm not mad at all of the wildness and the taboo that took place, simply because everybody winded up healing and nobody was left empty-handed, except for Noah. Let's go in the order of the book. Let's start with Jake. Jake is old enough to be Tiernan's dad, but going back to that piece to where everybody got the healing that they needed, why Tiernan was the one that was able to unlock all of those feelings and emotions from the past in him, I did not quite get. Maybe somebody can explain to me in the comments. They were both able to get what they needed. Like, Tiernan was able to get the fact that she is lovable, that she is acceptable, that she is perfect the way that she is worthy of every good thing that somebody wants to do and say to her. She gets that from Jake, and she gets from him, like, I love you and I care about you enough to not let you self-destruct. Now, the way he went about showing her that was a no, because he was talking to her like she was crazy at some point. So I was like, who do you think that, like, you're not her daddy. Like, I understand her daddy dropped the ball, but you ain't her daddy. Like, dude, you're pushing her away, and that's why you pushed your sons away. Then what I loved for Jake was, Tiernan is such a fireball in her own way, and she's so strong-willed and strong-minded that he was not able to walk all over her. And I think, kind of answering my own question from earlier, that is kind of how she was able to pull those emotions out of him and make him look at himself in the mirror. It was because he was not able to easily walk on her. Caleb would leave and Noah would leave, but like Tiernan, Tiernan might go, but Tiernan, you're not gonna talk to Tiernan in any kind of way. That angst between them and that headbutting between them it's absolutely what opened the door to the relationship that they had, but it also opened the door to the healing that they both needed, because they were both so stubborn and so headstrong. I really like that for Jake, because honestly, Jake seemed like he was a really good guy, and he loved his sons. He wanted what was best for him. He loved Tiernan. He wanted what was best for Tiernan. I think it was just breaking his heart that she never had the love that she deserved. He didn't know how to properly give her that love because he had never been loved how he needed to. We could see that in his relationship with the boys, and Tiernan was able to give that to him, and because she had never had love, it was in a more pure and a non-selfish type of love that she was able to give to him once he opened up and was able to accept it. Moving on from Jake, because that's pretty much all I had to say about him. Oh, my sweet Noah. Sweet Noah. There were some times with Noah that I was very frustrated with him. Like, I was very frustrated that he was not as forthright with his feelings for her as his dad and as Caleb was. Like, Noah was the sweet peacemaker. He was the glue that kind of kept everybody together, because everybody else was in their own ways selfish and stubborn. Noah having the better heart out of everybody, that is what gave him the short end of the stick. Honestly, if Tiernan was going to give those other two the play, then Noah should have got play too. Like, we did not get to see the relationship that could have blossomed between Tiernan and Noah. We got to see what would have eventually transpired between Jake and Tiernan. Can all agree that would have just dead-ended like it did. But with Noah and Tiernan, I feel like she didn't even give him the time of day, and it just really sucked because, when Jake was being a butt to her and Caleb was being a complete to her, Noah was there. and she didn't even give Noah the chance. I do fault some of that on Noah because he didn't step up like his brother and his dad did. Kieran was very smart. She was very aware of what was going on around her, and she just didn't want to give my boy no play. And I hate that. At the end of the book, Noah says, I got what I needed. I learned to, prioritize myself and, put myself out there, blah, 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 blah. Still wasn't fair to Noah, and that's what I stand on. Like, I honestly think that she would have benefited from being with Noah as well, because Noah was not as selfish as his freaking brother, who we're going to get on in a minute. I just want that to be known. I feel like Noah should have got more play. And I feel like Noah should have more time. And Noah should have had a real chance at a relationship with her. I would not have been mad had we gotten the same ending, but with Noah getting a chance. Like, if Noah blew it, or just if it was like Jake and it was just going to dead end, I would have been okay. But we don't even get to know. Then I read all of these bonus scenes thinking I was going to get something. I didn't get anything. I get more freaking Caleb. I don't want to hear nothing that Caleb got to do or say. I could have done without him learning how to talk, okay? Give me Noah and Tiernan. Thank you. Next. Moving on to Mr. Caleb Vanderberg. Is that their last name? Yeah. Caleb Vanderberg. He was by far the most frustrating character out of everybody. Not because he couldn't talk, but just the way he treated her. Like, you're gonna write a slur on her forehead while she's in bed because you're too chicken to face your own emotions? Make it make sense. I was so irritated because you can't even talk. So not only can you not express your emotions, you refuse to express your emotions. Her very first encounter with him was a red flag to me. And the way Noah just kind of brushed it under the rug, I was upset with him too. Because you're not finna come out of the woods with your shirt off and deer blood all over you trying to get it on with me. Get. I don't even know who you are. Goodbye. Anyways, moving on with Caleb. Before I start getting into specifics with him, I just was so frustrated that she chose him. He put in the least amount of effort. He was the most selfish out of everybody in the house. He did not want to get himself together until she was gone. He had successfully just pushed her and pushed her and pushed her away until she finally just went home and was like, forget this. The thing with the trying to get her pregnant and like the toxicity was just unnecessary on his part. And the thing that gets me is like, okay, yes, what happened to you when you were 4 was terrible. I get that. That's why you don't speak. Like, that's your excuse for not speaking. That you can't use that as your excuse to be an asshole as well. And that's exactly what he did. And I just, Caleb just frustrated me so bad. I will say, he needed Tiernan, and there were some aspects of him that Tiernan needed to grow and mature the way that she did throughout the book. He definitely needed her more than she needed him, and she would have been just fine with Noah. Caleb, there's just so much to unpack there with Caleb. If props where props are due, he did get himself together towards the end and learn how to speak so he could express himself, and eventually did what she asked. But I just don't understand. Like, there's just so much about, like, I'm so frustrated with his character, and I'm so frustrated that she chose him that I feel like Caleb was the least deserving out of everybody. Now, what Tiernan did for him to make him also look in the mirror and not be as selfish and learn how to express his emotions and learn how to deal with his past trauma was outstanding. Honestly, I see what Penelope was doing, or I think I see what Penelope was doing with Caleb and Tiernan, because the girl always picks the bad guy. And at least in this book, the bad guy winded up getting himself together. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for the villain getting the girl, but this is not fantasy. This is not a morally gray character. Like, he was just kind of crappy, in my opinion. I love a good morally gray character. I mean, like, Alex Volkov, I liked him, honestly, in Twisted Love, but Caleb Vanderberg, it's just a no for me, because he was toxic for his own reasons. And like, he like physically saw her trying and physically falling for him, and he just pushed her away and started treating her worse. But then whenever she doesn't give you attention, now you want to show out. Make up your mind. Make up your mind. Eventually he did make up his mind, but it couldn't have been me. He would have wrote that across my forehead and we wouldn't have nothing to say. And then he spilled that milk on her. Get out of here. He would have seen me boot up with Noah. That's exactly what it would have been. Okay. Oh, like, you out here possibly impregnating the bully, the town bully, but then you get mad at me. Like, what? No. But wrapping this up, altogether, I genuinely enjoyed this book. I appreciated the fact that Penelope added those bonus scenes. I think there's one at the end of the book. Let us see. No, it's just the epilogue. Like, and then what else was frustrating is we only got to see Caleb's view at the very, very end. And like, when I say very, very end, I mean like this is all that's left. Like, that's all that's left of the book. I would have loved to have seen more of Caleb's point of view. I didn't even have to have more Noah's point of view. I just wanted to see more of her with Noah, and I would have enjoyed, maybe I wouldn't be as angry about this if I had seen more of Caleb's point of view. Like, yeah, okay, you kept the bracelet, and yeah, you were making notes. That's not enough. You know, from the epilogue, it seemed like he eventually came to his senses and like did what he needed to do, but sir, absolutely not. I really enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the way it was written. I enjoyed the plot. Once you get to the last 10-15 chapters, you see that she's falling for Caleb, and I just hated that, because it's like the worse he was, the harder she fell. I enjoyed the taboo romance, but all of the ooh and eyes popping out my head and clutching the pearls, and that just made it more enjoyable for me. I know a lot of people have different stances on the morality of the book, but at the end of the day, if the book has us talking and the book invoked emotions out of us, then it did its job. How about you guys? Have you read it? If you've read it, you know, what were your thoughts? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Who were you rooting for? Let me know. Let's talk about it down in the comments. As always, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.